Welcome to Cambridge House Live. I'm Bridgitte Anderson and I'm joined by Yukon Premier Darrell Pasloski. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Nice to see you.
Let's start off talking about mineral investment in the Yukon. It dropped from $300 million in 2011 to $45 million last year. Is this cause for concern?
Well, you know, 2011, a couple of years ago, was a different time. Certainly, we really had a sort of a second gold rush at that time. We had record staking, record exploration, and truly capital markets were more flexible. There was more money that was out there now. We're still seeing some very good investment. I think what we're seeing now is we're seeing some targeting from the result of all that exploration that occurred a couple years ago. We're seeing projects now moving forward into development, and ultimately for us, I think the success is measured is if you can take a project that's identified through exploration and see it go through to actually becoming a producing mine. And so that's what really I look at in terms of success.
And what is your government doing to encourage more investment then?
Well, you know, I think the biggest thing that we're doing, and I quite proudly think it's very unique, is the fact that we work very closely with industry. And that is something that I haven't seen a lot of in other jurisdictions. Quite honestly, you know, we're standing beside industry, we're listening to them. When it comes to promotion or investment forums, you know, we listen to them as to where do we need to go. We go along with them. I think that that's very important. It provides a very strong dynamic. What these companies are doing when we go together is we're really marketing Yukon as a whole as well. So it's really been a strong advantage for us.
And are you doing that in overseas areas, or are there any particular geographic areas you're concentrating on for marketing?
Yeah, we have, of course, we've been in Europe, we've been through the States, and we've done a lot of work in Asia as well. We've had some substantial investment from Asia and China in the last few years, and so those are markets that continue to grow at a stronger pace than the world economy, and there is more need and demand for our resources there, so naturally want to continue to focus there as well.
Doing some reading on the Yukon and seeing what's going on there, there is a little bit of an overhang when it comes to power. So how is the province addressing that?
You know, I think what we have is a plan. We've got a short, medium, long-term plan. And in the short to medium term, we're really looking at LNG to fill the need. I'm very proud to say that our jurisdiction, if you look at the total energy consumed, electricity used in the Yukon, over 95% of it is hydro, renewable hydro, and I don't believe anybody else can say that. So we are now looking, as we're sort of reaching the limits of our hydro, to use LNG in the midterm. All the while we have stated that we're now moving forward with the identification of a location for a new hydroelectric dam, and we believe that the creation of more renewable hydro, affordable, stable priced hydro, will really set us up for the next 50 to 75 years. And that sort of stability is what this industry is looking for, certainly investors as well.
Well, and you're well aware of the LNG and the kind of investment that's being made in British Columbia. When you look at the Yukon's piece of the puzzle in that, do you think that there's any concern that Canada is behind the eight ball when it comes to other jurisdictions like Australia?
Well, you know, it is... It's an emerging, certainly if I can talk about Yukon for a minute, the gas industry is one that has only really emerging at this time. We've had a few conventional wells that existed in Yukon for a number of years, and you know, I think it's very important for people in our country today to feel confident about the regulatory processes, what we are doing, especially in jurisdictions that are not familiar, for example, things like hydraulic fracturing. We're seeing it in Newfoundland, we're seeing it in New Brunswick and Quebec, certainly Yukon as well. So we're going through a process to look at all those things. I think it's very important that Canada continue to reassert itself as a resource superpower in this world, but Canadians expect that whatever we do needs to be done in a responsible manner.
What is the Yukon doing to address any transportation challenges? Infrastructure for any of these projects is a really big factor in making decisions about whether to go ahead or whether they're going to be viable. So what is the Yukon doing on that front?
I think we're unique in the north in terms of what our infrastructure needs are, because right now we have a road grid that's almost 5,000 kilometers, so we have an extensive roadwork system already. We have access to 2 deep water ice-free ports, and we also have a electrical grid as well. So these are issues that the other two territories are really struggling with. They don't have ports, they have very few roads, or very much hydropower or a transmission grid. So we're ahead there. But what we are doing is where we continue to invest, for example, in roads, is that we're partnering, we're listening to industry to ensure that when we invest those resources, we're doing it in a manner that's going to be beneficial to this industry as well.
And industry is one of the key players, obviously, but Aboriginal relations is very important as well. So how is that going ahead with your government, and where are the challenges there that you're addressing?
Well, there's some things that are very incredible in the Yukon when it comes to First Nations, is that we have 14 First Nations in the Yukon. 11 of these First Nations have land claims, modern day treaties, which really creates a lot of certainty around investment. And really that's what the industry and that's what investors are looking for. But we also have some challenges, but realistically, we see these challenges right across the country when it comes to investment and resource development in all parts of the country. So we will continue to work forward with the First Nations. There's 3 First Nations who don't have land claims agreements.
And what are the status of those negotiations then?
Well, with them, what we are focusing on is ensuring an economic agreement. So while they don't have a modern day land claim, we want to make sure that whatever economic activity occurs within their area, that they are a beneficiary of that. So we're also moving forward with what I would call a consultation protocol, where we would agree on what the criteria is on consultation on any type of project, because if we can have that certainty up front, it makes it very a lot easier to move forward to see a project go forward.
Can you say where you are in progress with those 3 First Nations then? Are we still at the beginning stages, or are you a little bit farther along?
Well, right now, Canada doesn't have a mandate to negotiate a land claim with those 3 First Nations. So what we are doing is we're working with them to identify lands that they want to protect for the future, where they don't want any staking or mineral exploration. And then we're ensuring that we work together on the remainder of that area, creating those opportunities, economic opportunities for those First Nations. So when we're talking about training, business opportunities, and just direct benefit from any type of industry that wants to do business within their traditional territory.
And when you talk about training opportunities, it's a great part to talk about the training opportunities, the education in the mining industry. How is your province dealing with that then? Because there are a lot of opportunities, and there's a lot of discussion about shortage in the skilled trades. So are you addressing that? Are you increasing money in education for the trades, or what is your policy on that?
Absolutely. We just announced this year the creation of a new center within our Yukon College. It's going to be called the Center for Northern Innovation in Mining, where there will be a significant investment by the Yukon government, as well as the federal government and industry working together. This was vetted out through First Nations as well. We're also working with our neighbors and our partners in Alaska to create this center, which will provide training for Yukoners. So we can provide training for Yukoners for Yukon jobs. So that's very important. Create that skill set right now, especially during a time of some downturn. This is one of the things that we're working on to ensure that coming out of this, we're in a better position in a lot of aspects, including having skilled workers here ready for those jobs.
Are you seeing the urgency in the Yukon as British Columbia is, as Alberta and Saskatchewan? I mean, there's been a lot of conversation across the country about this skilled trade shortage. So is it the same situation in the Yukon?
It is, that's right. And another component of this center that I'm talking about is we've actually also purchased a mobile trades training trailer as well that we can take to smaller communities throughout the territory, where it can set up, and it's actually a classroom. There's a number of trades that they can begin work on, from welding, electrical, millwork. So this is another aspect of ensuring that we can, show people in these communities that there are jobs out there that are available, and with this training, with the support, they'll be in position to get some of the good, skilled, high-paying jobs.
Premier, the Northwest Territories is moving towards devolution this past year. So what does that mean for the growth of the Yukon then?
Well, what I could say for the Northwest Territories, we could be reflective of what's happened. Of course, we went through devolution almost 11 years ago now, and it has been remarkable. When you take and allow the management of the resources and the land and the water to those decisions to be made locally instead of through Ottawa, it's made an incredible difference. The last 10 years, we've had real GDP growth every year. I think 8 of those 10 years we were ahead of the national average. We've seen our population go up by 22%. We've seen 3 new mines that have opened up. We've got 6 mines that are in permitting and about 10 more projects that are in advanced exploration or feasibility right now. So there's been, devolution and control of our own destiny has been very successful for Yukon, and I look forward to Northwest Territories experiencing the same situation.
And do you think there'll be any spin-off benefit for the Yukon then?
Well, there will be, for example, the road to Inuvik, Tuktoyaktuk does come through the Yukon as well. And one of our airlines is now running a direct service from Whitehorse to Yellowknife to Ottawa. And there is a lot of relationship there and opportunity to work together, as there is to our west. And we have a strong relationship with the state of Alaska as well.
Premier, thank you. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Well, Yukon is, I'd like to say is that it's truly still, a large part of it is not explored at this point. And we have a situation where we have world-class resources and we have a full suite of resources, gold, silver, lead, zinc, copper, molybdenum, tungsten. So we've got a full suite. Our government is focused on improving those things that we can control. So we're looking at the assessment processes, we're looking at the regulatory and the permitting process to see how we can improve that. And as I mentioned, we have a lot of fundamental infrastructure in place already, and we also have a government that's very supportive of this industry. So I would just say that this Yukon is a great place for investors to put their money and feel confident.
Thanks very much for your time, Premier.
It's nice to see you.